Welcome to Numbering the Days channel. I'm Sierra, your host, and I thought I was already done with the calendar videos for this new year, but alas, I am not because I'm here again. We are so blessed to have so many new subscribers, all the orders coming in for the physical calendars as well. And in fact, if you are new and trying to wrap your mind around this calendar, I assure you that having a physical peg calendar is just a ticket because it's going to help you and answer some of these questions I'm going through today. Anyway, I've been receiving questions from several people this past week. Questions that I asked myself many times on my journey over the past 10 years. So I'm very familiar with them. Some of our community members who are on this calendar still have lingering questions. So this video is for you. And it's also for our subscribers here on YouTube. This is going to be an easy video to listen to like a podcast. I am not putting any PDF files on the screen, and I'm going to go through 10 questions and give my answers. It's going to be real easy to listen to. Nothing special is going to be on the screen except me and a few pretty pictures. So I thought... about all the questions that came in as a whole, and I have a few comments before I go through them individually. You know, I watched Asherit's videos through her series about 4 times as a whole. I mean, all of them. It takes a while to go through them all. I've gone through the tobesaved.com, when does the day start, several times, and you need to know that on their website, there's a PDF file that you can find that has all the information they're putting on the screen. So you don't have to take notes, because I spent a lot of time taking notes and found out, oh, here's a PDF file for it. So there is a lot of logical questions that have been sent to me. And so Asherit answers these questions very logically. And I'm going to give you some answers, but I can't put all of her teachings or all of the information on tobesaved.com or all those other references I gave you into this video. Okay. Now, one of the discussions that she does go through in detail was the 7th-day Sabbath cycle ever lost? I mean, some people want to teach that it has been, and I fall into the camp that it has not been. I gave you in part 2 resources to review on this very subject, including articles to read, and you can decide for yourself. Both Joshua and I feel in our gut there must be some book that, one of the Levites had. There were instructions for them on how to do this calendar, but it's not shared with the public. I mean, it makes no sense that there would not be books that explain this like straightforward. But alas, there have been many fires and many libraries and many book collections have all been destroyed through time. And we have, I heard the other day, 5 miles of archives underneath the Roman Vatican, when that's enough said, because we just don't have access to everything. We both see in a specific location of First Enoch, and we've looked at all the versions, a place where the sentence flow is really off. And it would have been a logical place to put some intercalary instructions, but they've not been, they're not there. You just get some sentences that don't make a lot of sense all of a sudden. We both have seen documentation for the power of the publishing industry, who are controlled by a few, to squash certain voices in what is released to the public. And this has gone on throughout history, all the burning of information. So we stand in a place of knowing that the enemy has done everything possible to pollute what we get. So now to the first question. Question 1. If we were in the wilderness and didn't have the Gregorian calendar, how would we be able to tell the days of the month and know when to celebrate the Moediym? Now, I'm assuming that this person is thinking, say, of the second Exodus and going into the wilderness. We have had people purchase our calendar boxes specifically for the second Exodus journey to put in their packed bags. I mean, no kidding. People are doing this. This is a hypothetical question you're asking that some people foresee or they think it's a possibility. It starts with, if you were, let's say, in the second Exodus, and you find yourself out in the wilderness. Now, I doubt people will be alone, and many will come with their calendars. You don't need the Gregorian calendar to keep Yah's calendar. I've got the Moediym dates memorized, as do many other people. Our little boxes even have a chart inside of them so you can tell, when you open it up, when the Moediym are. I do not think if you are going with the people on the Exodus that the collective we is going to forget the dates. It is on our radar screen, so to speak, to make ourselves a sundial, the type we can witness the straight line day 2 times a year when the sun and the moon set in the same gate on the equinoxes. And I am certain that many people on a wilderness exodus journey will come with theirs. And it is actually Torah instructions from Moses in Psalm 90 to learn to number your days. And that is what this calendar is doing, numbering the days in the patterns of sevens. I personally used to worry about this, but I don't anymore. I mean, my mind popped it in there of, oh, what about this? And I thought, if I'm in the wilderness going on the second Exodus, there's going to be, I know a lot of things. There's going to be other people there with me. And I don't think that we're going to forget the days. I have them memorized. And so do many other people. We know when the Moediym are. And so that's the answer to the first question. Okay, now for question number 2. Without a Gregorian calendar or calendar board, how do we know when the Wednesday is to start our first day of the year? Well, again, this is, a hypothetical, and I was worried about it too. I mean, my mind went through all kinds of questions. So remember that the days on this calendar are fixed. So day 364 will always be a Tuesday. And so you'd know the next day is Wednesday, and that's why we count and we number things and things are fixed. And when I was pondering this question, I realized that the chances of this scenario were slim to none happening because you're describing a scenario almost void of Yah's reach and in total isolation. I realized that in order for this to happen, I'd have to be taken to some remote island on the flat earth and dropped alone with nothing to scratch on, no stones, no place to etch anything, nothing. I'd have to be totally cut off from everyone else because really, no matter what country we travel to, the day of the week is known. So I really did stop worrying about this one. I mean, Father was able to get instructions to Noah, Abraham, and Moses, and I'm sure he can send an angel to me if ever I was in this situation, and I trust him. So that's my answer to that question. 3. How would we be sure of the new date of the equinox as the Equilux is before it? Now, the moon changing its course to set with the sun in the great gate at the 2 equinoxes, celestial equinoxes, causes a straight line day on sundials that track the noonday sun shadow above our heads. This method is not showing you the Equilux at your location, but the celestial equinox crossing of the equator. Everywhere on the flat earth on these 2 days, fall and spring, instead of a curved shadow, there's a straight line. It's easy to tell when these 2 days are. They got nothing, the equinox got nothing to do with your local Equilux. And I have a couple of videos on our channel in the how to do the calendar, and it was also in part 2 that I put these for you in the reference chart there that cover this topic. So be sure to watch Nick Vanderland's project on the international dateline. I don't agree with him 100% on the calendar, but he did an excellent job, and a lot of people contributed to his project to report in and see the patterns of the equinoxes. And they were observing it everywhere on earth in their local countries. And it only occurred over a 24 to 30 hour period on one day. And it was not the Equilux that they're seeing. Okay. That happens over a 3 to 5 day period. So we use the equinox. It's a easy thing to understand when the equinox is, and I don't use the Equilux. That's the answer to this question. Okay. Question 4. Do we need to learn where the portals of the sun and the stars' locations? And the answer is no. You don't need to learn them, memorize them, or anything. And you don't need to track star constellations and zodiac houses either for purposes of Yah's covenant calendar. Now, if you were a navigator on a ship or lost in the wilderness wanting to know your directions, it would be a great skill to know these things, to know the stars. And Enoch was given all that astronomical chart information, and it has been used for many good purposes. But for the Moediym covenant calendar, you don't need it. That's my answer. Okay, question number 5. How did they in the Old Testament figure this out? And the first thing that pops into my head is that they use pegboards. Archaeologists have found them all over Israel. This is in our video on our calendar boards on our YouTube channel. My husband makes a modern version, and that's what we sell. But clearly, there were hundreds of these found all over Israel in archaeological digs. And Moses said in Psalm 90 to learn to count, to learn to number your days, and people were doing just that. You'll want to realize that the story of Jubilees documents for you events through times that will help you answer this question. Noah had Enoch's writings. The Sabbath cycle is from the garden, and it got passed down. Abraham is documented in Jubilees as being given the same information and taught how to read so he could read all the writings. The book of Jubilees shows the events through time. It's all inside our channel and all those weekly calendar episodes. It will be in your sojourning with us if you come into the community and participate. You'll learn how all the patriarchs and their families are all on the calendar just by the dating of when they would do things. I mean, it's fascinating when you see the whole calendar year and you see how often through time they were already keeping what we've come to know in Leviticus 23 is the Moediym. And they were doing it. I mean, it's obvious to me when I started playing detective, trying to figure all this out, and I was gathering clues that they knew the calendar. It was passed down. It was lost in Egypt or rejected. And in Jubilees, Moses is given the same calendar again, the same Noah covenant, and it was restarted. You just do not have this understanding unless you read Jubilees. So the answer is they were not lost in the Old Testament times wondering how to do things, that it was passed down. Y'all always made sure that they knew how, and they use those pegboards. That's my answer to this question. Question number 6. Day 4 was when time was created, but the other first 3 days were part of creation week. So why don't we include them and start day 1 after the equinox instead of day 4? The 7-day Sabbath cycle that we have does not in any way ignore those first 3 days in Genesis 1. We're not ignoring them. So the first 7-day Sabbath is the same 7-day Sabbath day in this calendar. It's never been broken. We have our calendar boards, that we sell, has a section for just the first 7-day weekly cycle. And it's only got 7 holes, and you move this peg every day endlessly. You never stop, you never pause, you don't intercalate, you don't stop that flow. It just continues. It's an unbroken cycle. And this is a big understanding I got from all the logic and the background when I was first starting, and I watched Asherit's videos several times. I can't put all of her understanding into this answer because it'd be too long. I mean, I encourage people to watch her videos. She did an excellent job on the calendar and comparing it to all other calendars and all the reasons why other calendars don't work. And I studied that for a while. So you just have to put in some time for yourself. But this calendar is not ignoring at all that cycle. In fact, some of the other calendars break that 7-day cycle. Okay. So go watch part 2. It's a summary explanation of everything. And I urge you to watch our part 2 video. Yah's calendar is not an exact solar celestial calendar. Okay. The solar cycle is 365 days, 0.25 days. And if you follow that solar cycle exactly, you are not following the instructions of Enoch nor Jubilees to keep the year to 364 days, nor following the calendar as documented in the Dead Sea Scrolls. You'd be following a strict solar calendar, and your days would be 365, and you would be forced, like on the Gregorian calendar, to then have to add in a day every 4 years. I mean, Enoch knew the same exact solar cycle back then that we have now. He was shown the sun's celestial cycles to be that number of days. It's in the book. We were instructed to follow a septenary, that means sevens, base calendar, as all of Yah's timekeeping elements are sevens. There's 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. Shemitah cycles are based on sevens. Jubilees are 7 times sevens. I mean, it's all based on sevens. That is the calendar. You see, it's a septenary calendar. We use the sun, moon, and stars as signs, just like Genesis 1:14 says, but it's not identical to any of their celestial cycles, none of which are divisible by 7. We are keeping Yah's Moediym covenant calendar that's 364 days from above, in a place where we're here with sun, moon, and stars above us, spinning around with their individual celestial cycles. We observe the straight line day because that is the great sign that a new year can start. The moon is a second witness. We use the moon. It's a vital thing. 2 times a year, it changes where it's setting entirely in the sky and goes all the way across. And on these 2 days, goes exactly with the sun into the same gate, and you get the straight line event. Okay, so the moon is an integral part of the sign that we observe. We observe what's in Genesis 1:14. This action by the moon is helping to do that. Okay, so the moon's not cast out in this calendar. Nowhere in Enoch, nor Jubilees, nor the Tanakh that I can find is there instructions to watch the moon or the sun for locations and zodiac signs. Which house are they in? None, 0. If you have an exact scriptural reference that says exactly how we're supposed to observe constellations and know that the sun, the moon, the whatever, please, and don't read into scripture either, then put it in the comments. I urge you to watch the recommended videos on the channel of our playlist, how the calendar works, one by one. I left out the Dead Sea Scrolls in that statement on purpose. You see, I don't want any quotes from anybody out of the Dead Sea Scrolls on the question that I just asked. And if you do not understand why, please watch parts 3 through 5 of our calendar video series. People try to make a calendar for man out of Enoch, and then they ignore Jubilees, ignore the Dead Sea Scrolls even, and cherry pick scriptures to prove a calendar they have put together. Some ignore Enoch entirely and Jubilees completely. You really must review all of the evidence and the sources for yourself, and then you will have the information you need. It's not just me that's been through this process. A lot of people go through this. If someone discredits Enoch and Jubilees, then do be assured that you're getting a skewed, lacking information opinion. Okay. And that's how I believe. And you can choose to study this stuff or not. And you need to come to your own conclusion. Okay. That's the answer to this question. Okay. Question 7's a little long. And I put on the bottom of the screen here just little blurbs so you'll help remember what the question is while I'm talking about it. This one says, why do the feast days and Sabbath have to always be on the same day of the year? When we have appointments booked, for example, doctor's appointments, they are not always on the same day. Sorry if this looks like I'm being a critic, but they really are stumbling blocks for me, and I have been trying to conclude my calendar quest. I know what it means to be stumbling on something, okay? So I'm not trying to be critical here in my answer. So, okay, Yah's creation follows precise movements, it's precision based, and everything has rules and an order to it. So his creation, it's his calendar. They're not doctor's appointments, and they're not worldly events. And this almost seems demeaning to the Moediym and not understanding their significance. Okay. you're really comparing apples and oranges, because you're taking something that's of the world and you're trying to compare it to his kingdom. The Jubilees dating of events and what was written on the heavenly tablets is precise instructions. Leviticus 23, a repeating of these, is precise instructions, exact days and time frames. They match up perfectly. The Dead Sea Scrolls, when I pull the dates and stuff out of there, lines up again as well. So the Tanakh events, even that you're going to see in all these calendar episodes through time, are lining up perfectly. I mean, it is how it is. So why does it have to be this way? Well, Yah really created it this way, and it's been happening this way all through time. And you can choose to be in the exact flow of the way it's always been or not, and that's your choice. And I did not make it this way. He did. And I have chosen to be in that flow. And I would hate to say, just because that's the way he set it up. Okay, that's the answer to that question. Oops, I stopped that just a little bit too soon. I had a little bit more on that question. Okay, so by having everything be on precise days the same year, we are not robbed of our Moediym times either. See, the seventh day Sabbath is a Moediym in Leviticus 23. And the number of days that we have as Moediym days never changes. This is on this calendar, the seventh day Sabbaths are included, and nothing ever overlaps. See, that's the big deal. No feast days end up on your Sabbath days. So the total never changes. And many of the other calendars, their events are going to end up overlapping. You're going to end up having your, high Sabbath day on the seventh day Sabbath, and you can end up even with conflicting instructions as the events collide, and that's confusion. So on Yah's calendar, covenant calendar, nothing ever overlaps with the fixed order to things, and there's zero confusion. Now I finished answering the question. Okay, question 8. Is there anything in Enoch that shows when the year starts? And my answer, in order to answer this, the first thing to discuss is whose year and on what cycle. I mean, Enoch talks about 3 celestial objects that all start their annual cycles in different times. The sun, moon, and stars are all on different cycles of 360 days, 354 days, and 365.25 days. The Gregorian calendar closely follows the solar cycle, and it has that leap day added every 4 years to stay in sync with the sun. The moon cycle is less days at 354, and people on lunar calendars typically have to intercalate every so many years an additional entire month in order to keep their beginning of their calendar synced with the springtime. Now, regarding the calendar for man to follow, Enoch does say the cycle is 3 sets of 30 days with 1 seasonal intercalary day for a quarterly pattern of 30, 30, 30 plus 1. This is something I go into in part 2 of this series. What the English translations, and there are many, and sometimes they do conflict, but in chapter 72, the key thing to note is that the sun must go through the 4th gate, the great gate, all the way in order for its new year to begin. There's no exception. Okay, the sun has to go all the way through. If you start your year before the straight line day, you have no sun. You have no sign. I mean, you've started too soon. Now go into this in part 2. The book of Enoch is not a calendar how-to text, as we might wish it were. Okay, it's an astronomical text of these celestial objects in the heavens and their cycles. It's like a science book. It's an astronomy book. It has some calendar information in it, but it's not complete in the English translations that we have been given. I mean, we personally observe a few spots in the English translations when you go super slow and you're trying to follow the logic and the sentence flow. There's a couple places that just stick out to us that it's like, okay, something's wrong here. this is not what a logical person's going to write. You're not going to say these things in this order, and it's like confusion got stuck someplace. And it's sad that we observe this. And when I first started studying calendars, I had to realize that in order to come to a conclusion on the Moediym feast calendar, the one in Jubilee 6, as part of the covenant that Yah has for his people, that it required more than one book. I mean, I urge you to watch our entire covenant calendar video series to understand this. Parts 1 and 2 are going to show you both how to start the new year, and part 2 has all the details. Okay, so that's the answer to this question. Okay, question number 9. What are your favorite Bible verses, the 66-book version, that supports the year start or the month start? And the first thing I'd say is Exodus 16. Our week 5 video that's going to be just in a couple weeks covers this story when Yah gave Moses and the people their Sabbath manna collecting instructions in that chapter. And it supports this calendar. So watch week 5. And also the story of Noah's flood is another one that instantly pops into my mind. I think I talk about that in part 2, and it's also in our calendar videos. You see, we took all the stories in the calendar videos and we line them up and put them on the calendar, because scripture is full of Hodesh of the month, the beginning of the month, and on this day of the month. And now, part 3 of this series goes into detail about that word, Hodesh. It's a very controversial word, and because a lot of people want to say it means a new moon. But I cover that in part 3, and I also address the Abib reference to a springtime year start in that video. In part 2, I gave you a reference to watch called When Does the Day Start video teaching from tobesaved.com. They have a YouTube channel. It's loaded with biblical references and stories and analysis for you. So I'd say there are lots of support for this. When you go through and sojourn through this calendar and look at how things line up week after week after week after week, they're not going to line up on a lunar calendar. They're not going to line up on a solar calendar. You're lining up on this calendar. So that's my answer for question number 9. On to the last one. Question 10. Is there a sun, moon, stars combo that could show us when a Sabbath is, a Sabbath year or a Jubilee year? So my answer includes watch part 2 of the videos, Genesis 1, plus the witnesses in Jubilees. Show that the 7-day cycle started in the beginning and is unbroken. No sun, moon, or stars combo for showing you when the Sabbath is that I'm aware of or has been proven out. It's all through scripture, the sevens. I mean, all the math and all the calendar videos and all the events is showing you that is an unbroken cycle, because the whole calendar is septenary in nature. You don't break the cycle. Some people start their new year during or a day after the spring equinox, but that is linked to the solar celestial cycle and not the septenary calendar. Beware of people who cherry pick verses out of context and read into them calendar instructions. I hope that you which is out of context. I know people are enjoying this calendar series. I hope you share it with your friends and with people that you're in fellowship with. Cherry pick verses out of scripture. I know that there are people who are still confused about which calendar to keep. In part 2 of our there's a lot of voices series, out there on the internet how this and YouTube that are all conflicting at times. And I'm just trying to, in this series, stay in alignment with the through the use of the charts and the graphs and the way I approach things, show you and research and logic, and hopefully it will support some unity. The best way I've found understanding to approach this of the calendars. We take the scriptural I hope that you would come that are historical. Check out our and community. We match them up to I offer a 2-week free trial. Say we are a place where it's safe to ask questions, and iron can sharpen iron in a very loving way. To discern we know that not everybody is at the same place in their understanding. They haven't been exposed to the same happening. At teachings when they haven't tell that it's some people haven't spent time trying to figure this stuff out, while others of us have spent a ton of time trying to figure this out. Then you can do some charting on lining please up click the like Bible's and Jubilee and leave me a comment, and thank you so much for your precious time watching our this is something series. I have not covered in any of my calendar series. both these answers to help you. Overcome strongholds. If you have them, and clear the confusion that may remain in you. This is not an easy part of the journey. There are two more subjects that I believe have the rest of a lot, like the calendar, but the calendar was the first one. When I started, and I'm brand new, this is the first time I was like, wow, this is you know, why do I have to study all this stuff? Where's the book that tells me how to do this? You know, it should be simple, and it should be simple, but that's not what we think it is, okay? But any more questions that you might have in the comments, I'll be happy to answer them. Dealing with fear, I may remake this video again if I have a question. I pray you have an amazing and that y'all will continue to expose the lessons from the home, spiritual, physical, all obstacles in your path. May you be brave and face your fears and the things that confuse you straight on without falling into any ditch. Wait until you know to give you the answers. But if you do fall into the ditch, just cry out. Because all the lost sheep are always found.